Hello, my loves. I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being on my channel, where we are talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. And this video is about why studying narcissists might be slowing down your healing and what to do instead, right? Now, please don't get me wrong. There is something that is very healing and necessary in understanding what has happened to us. And when we first learn about what a narcissist is, and we learn about the sequence they go through, the tools they use on us, like the gaslighting, the love bombing, the devaluing, the discarding, and the whole hoovering and merry-go-round again, there's something very important about knowing what that is, knowing how they confuse you, gaslight you, erode you, disconnect you from your own self and soul, because they are so detach themselves. There's something very, very important in it. There's something very important in understanding how you've been dehumanized, because they are basically not really fully human. They're soul detached. They treat you like an object for what they need. They mold you into what they need you to be. But there's also something very important in seeing it in a simplified way, which is what I do. You know, understanding what strain of narcissist you're dealing with is not as complex as what at the moment the current overload of information is making out. An overt one is an extrovert, a covert one is an introvert, and how malignant they are just is like how spiteful they'll be. And they can kind of flip between these things, right? And they can turn up how nasty they are in different contexts. But when you know the basics, getting stuck in being obsessed with them is part of the illness. Let me explain. Because when you're with a narcissist, your whole life becomes about them, not about you. Not about who you are, your purpose, your needs, desires and dreams. It becomes about them. And you live in fear a lot of the time of what will happen next. What will they do next? You know, what do they think? What are they thinking? What are they feeling? Are they about to completely discard you? Why are they behaving the way they are? Our whole lives become about them. So if you are outside of the relationship or on a healing journey but still obsessed with them, you're still in the illusion. You're still not healing in the fastest way that could break you free. So what should you do instead? The work I teach, the work I do in my program Sovereign and with my clients is all about you. Right? Because when you're in your authentic power, truth, authenticity and purpose, you are not a match for a narcissist, right? We are drawn to narcissists, right? One, because they're predators and they have a type. They target empaths, kind people, compassionate people, and people with specific unmet needs and childhood wounds, right? So in order to not be a match for them, we have to learn how to, one, improve our emotional intelligence, which is understand our feelings, that all feelings are messengers, right? And actually honor them and exist fully in this world, because the narcissist will always implant the subconscious program in you that you don't matter and don't exist. They train you not to matter and exist and to be numbed out and disconnected from your emotional body. But your emotional body is your guidance system. Right? It's very connected to your soul and who you are outside of your wounds, right? When it's not an emotion, an extreme emotion coming from trauma and wounding, outside of that, our emotions are our GPS, part of our intuition guiding us to what feels good to us and what doesn't, right? So we want to get back in touch with that. Learn how to self-regulate. A big part of the Sovereign program will teach you how to regulate your emotions so you don't act on triggers, but you process the emotions so they stop living in you. That does two things. One, stops the trauma bond existing, stops you wanting to go back to the narcissist. Two, helps you get out of your vibration, your frequency, what's living in you. Because if it's unprocessed, it's in your energy field and you're a match to people who are going to reignite it, basically. So we want to get the trauma out of our bodies. And then we want to self-generate. What do I mean by this? Being a source to self, being a sovereign source to self means that I know I can self-generate love in my life, connection in my life, validation, security. Right? The reason we attach to narcissists is because we don't often feel able to be independent and sovereign to self. That does not mean, and again, part of our healing journey often is isolation in an in-between stage, because we're kind of learning how to do this, but we haven't always learned how to transform our lives and create the relationships and connections and love and everything that we want, right? So we learn how to not attach to others and get abused for security, safety, love, validation, support and approval. But then we've also got to learn how to transform ourselves so that we're a match to healthy connections, right? That are not codependent, that are actually win-win situations. And of course, there's a level of codependency in every human being, and we keep evolving and we keep working on ourselves, right? To be more connected, but not unhealthily attached. That's what we're working on, right? When you've been through these cycles, it's a very hard ride, because every human being on the planet is born codependent. A baby is, right? But when you've been through narcissistic abuse cycles, then it's a bit more tricky, because we have to learn very hard spiritual lessons in order to completely break free. Yeah. But that does not mean they're hard to heal. It's just that we're not often given the information, and a lot of us are getting in these traps of just still staying obsessed with the narcissist. If you're living in confusion, in fear of what a narcissist will do next, how it might impact your sense of security, safety, life, right? Then please come into my program, because you're going to learn how to be able to self-source everything you need for yourself, right? And that's a journey, that's a process, which is why I've opened the program for a year. But our goal is to self-generate, to know that, like, we're not going to attach to any kind of abuse, right, to get our needs met. We're going to heal those unmet needs that we have as children and as adults, right? The things that have traumatized us, that have not been met, that we don't often believe, right, that will get met. So we hang on to people like narcissists, like unhealthy people, because we don't think we'll get love elsewhere. So we'll take this version of it, this illusion of it. We don't know if we'll be safe elsewhere. So we take this version of it, this illusion of it. We don't know. We haven't even spent much time really thinking about who we are, what we need, what our purpose is. And purpose doesn't have to be a big, great thing, like what you'd consider great, because, you know, you are great. Your life, your fulfilled life is great, right, in terms of living a life that's in alignment with what you truly want. But a lot of us haven't spent much time digging into our values, what we care about, knowing what would make us actually truly happy. So we deal with what comes up. We attach to a version of things that we think is the best we can get, or keeps us safe, or we don't really spend much time with ourselves, really sitting and thinking about what would make our hearts happy, who we really are, transforming, growing who we are, working on our own spiritual evolution and growth, which is what this cycle forces us into, so that we can become an authentic whole. We are whole, but, you know, restoring all the things that were kind of hurt, damaged and feel broken in us, right? So that we actually come into a more aligned, wholesome version of self, wholehearted, wholesome, not living in defense and protection or isolation, knowing how to cultivate, which we were never taught at school. I wish we were, like emotional intelligence, and how do we actually cultivate healthy relationships? We've been trained to suppress our feelings, suppress our wants, needs and desires, and not even been given good communication tools with others, so that we often feel like a lot of guilt or fear or shame in getting our needs met, right? So there's a whole process in being able to kind of equip ourselves with the self-awareness, right? Communication tools, and opening our broken hearts a lot of the time enough to really connect with a life that feels good to us, a life that actually really turns us on, not a life where we're just trying to stonewall a narcissist or get by on a grey rock method. That is not life. Come on, guys, that is not life. Let's set a bigger standard. Life is going to be hard sometimes, because there's things in our lives that we can't control, but the rest of the time we're not supposed to be walking on eggshells, wondering what a narcissist will do next, or spending our free time learning more and staying obsessed with them. That's where they keep us in a trap, even if you've left one. So if you want to learn more, please get in touch, or check out the links below. Please keep commenting topics you want me to talk about. Please keep liking, subscribing, sharing, supporting my message and my channel. I really want this out in the world. We have an epidemic of this going on right now, and what is quite scary to me is the amount of people still not realizing that the narcissist has still got you where they want you when you're obsessed with them, why they do what they do, and learning about them rather than self-partnered and self-focused. Part of what I teach you in Sovereign, one of my 2 pillars, is self-partnered and self-figured, getting to know you. You're the one that's been missing this whole time, and I would like to help you, bring you back to you. Lots of love, and I'll speak to you soon.